Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to dig into the big question of how to get an eVisa in Vietnam. I've been getting a lot of questions on what you need to fill out, what you need to have, how much does it cost? Do you go through an agent? Do you not go through an agent? And what is the wait time and whatnot? So today we're going to break down that exact thing. So I'm going to walk you through an actual application. So first thing we need to do is we need to go to the right website. So I'm going to put this down in the description below. This is where you get your eVisa for Vietnam. Even when an agent applies, this is what they use. So you want to go ahead and click on apply for personal eVisa. Now, if you guys have seen my member videos, we've went through how to write the best CV and how to do the best cover sheet to apply for a job. So you're in the top 1% of getting a job out here. We're going to go ahead and step back and we're going to use that same CV photo and passport information. This is the real application with some fun information to show you what you need to do. So I'm not going to be submitting anything and nothing like that. I'm not going to get approval letters for Superman's visa, right? So what you do need to have is the front page of your actual passport where it has your ID number on it, this number on the bottom typically, and then your basic information and your photo. And then you also need a digital photocopy. This isn't a printout, this is a digital. It doesn't need to be identical to the passport. So when it comes to the fees themselves, you're going to be looking at the cost of $25 for single entry and $50 if you want multi-entry, meaning that you can leave Vietnam, they don't do anything to your passport, and then when you come back in, they just verify you still have the stamp and you're good to go. If you're not planning on leaving more than I would say more than 3 times, I would just do single entry. The second time around, just pay the 25 again, get your eVisa reset on the date, you're good to go, and you're still at $50, and you end up getting like 4 to 6 months instead of just 3. The multi-entry visa, after 3 months, you do have to leave and redo it. So once you have this ready, you understand this, go ahead and hit confirmation and click continue. This is going to take us to the actual application. This is it. It's a very basic thing. It's 3 steps. Step 1 is what we're on. Step 2, it's going to reprint this in kind of a PDF format. You just make sure it all looks accurate, right? Make sure information is good. And then page 3 is just paying. You pay with a Visa or MasterCard. Once you get in here, the first thing you need to do is have your passport logged in here. Because we are using a fun little one, we're going to go ahead and be loading in my demo. You can see here, I got a pretty much a fake one here. So it's happy, traveler, canceled. I got Superman's picture in here. Ideally, the background should be white. You don't need the signature part on here. I hear people say you do, you don't. And then your photo, obviously just a normal thing. It can be the same or it can be different, but the background has to be white. So the next part, we need to start filling out this form. Now, anything with an asterisk is required. Anything without an asterisk, it's not fully required, but it could be depending on what your situation is. So we're going to go through each one of these. First one is your surname and your birthday. Again, we're just kind of making stuff up. Now, go to get your birthday. Now, do know that in most of pretty much Asia, it's always a day of the month. So December 8th, 1953, right? In regards to your sex, gender, same thing. You want to put male or female. Your place of birth, let's just say Hawaii. Seems like a Hawaiian guy. And then your current nationality is what you are right now. If you have multiple passports, that's perfectly fine. You can apply with a different passport being a different nationality. But Superman is an American. And the ID number is typically if you're using an identification card. Your religion doesn't really matter. I don't know why this is required. Nobody cares in the offices. And then your someone at yahoo.com. You cannot cut and paste, so you have to retype it, which is good because you want to get the right email. This is the email they're going to send your application approval letter to. So make sure it is accurate. And then have you ever used any other passports when you've entered? Yes or no? Be honest. If you put yes, just put it in there. You have multiple nationalities. You put it in here. Violation of Vietnamese laws. This one is actually quite important. If you've broken any laws in Vietnam, and this isn't a traffic violation you paid a cop to get away from, this is serious crimes. You will know if this is a yes. Once you get down there, you're going to get to the next question. eVisa request information. This is the $25 and the $50 fee. So single entry, $25. Multi-entry, $50. Once you get that filled out, you want to put in when you intend to actually arrive in Vietnam. So let's put the first of the year. And then 90 days is the final cut, right? What is that, like April 1st, something like that? And you will notice here, it will flag you if you try to go longer. So you will get that identification. You can put as long as you want, up to 90 days, and as short as you want, as long as it's greater than 30 days. Don't put like 10 days. Even if you don't use the entirety of the visa, it's perfectly fine. Now, once you get down to the next document, you're going to need your actual documentation as a foreigner. 99% of you put ordinary passport, put in your passport number, And then the date of issue, I'm going to put that in there. And expiration date is going to be kind of like the same. I think that works out. And you notice when you put things that don't match the requirements, it will flag you. So that's a good thing. Do you hold any other valid passports? Again, yes or no, whatever you want. Next one is contact information. Most of this is not even required. I never fill this out. If you want to, by all means, go ahead. It doesn't expedite anything. You won't get declined. When it comes to occupation, I would recommend strongly do not put teacher in here. If you are coming here as a tourist and they see your occupation as teacher, you might get delayed or flagged, or they might even reply to you saying, hey, what is your job? Are you coming out here as a tourist? Something like that. I've seen that happen a few times. Just leave it blank, which brings us to the entry reason, tourism. I don't know why it's in here twice. All this other stuff has nothing to do with you. Also, if you're doing a business visa or something, again, you're not going to be on this website. This is strictly for tourism. There is no reason why this checkbox should be anything but this tourism. Now, the name of the housing organization, this is pretty much any kind of organization you work for, like nonprofit, stuff like that. We want to stay for 90 days. Intended date of entry, I think we put it as December 15th. When it comes to the allowed entry checkpoint, this doesn't entirely matter, but I'm pretty sure you know where you're coming from. You're going to be, if you're in South Vietnam doing a visa run, you're probably going to be in Moc Bai. If you're in Central, Northern Vietnam, you're going to be in Boi U. Make sure you ideally click the right one. If you're off, it's not a big deal, but you want to be pretty accurate on this. They're not going to give you too much of a hard time. Some agents at the borders will give you a hassle if they see, oh, you're supposed to be at the airport. What are you doing with the Moc Bai border? And they might want extra money, but it doesn't entirely matter. So you'll be good there. When it comes to exit, I typically put the airport closest to where I'm going. If you're trying to leave Vietnam because your visa's over and you're in Saigon and your paperwork says Hanoi, they're not going to flip out. Now, intended temporary address, this is what I typically suggest just putting a hostel that you're going to stay at when you first get there. So let's say Saigon hostel. I'm not going to get too deep into any addresses, but we're going to put that in there. And then what are their phone numbers? 8455555555. Cool. That's all you got to do. You don't need to give addresses where you're going to be for the next like 90 days. It's not what they're just looking for something. So have you been in Vietnam in the last year? Yes or no? If you're doing visa runs, you're going to fill that out. Have you any relatives in Vietnam? And then if you have any children, you want to put them in here. It's a different form, no problem, no issues. Trip expenses. Insurance isn't required to enter Vietnam, but if you want to enter it, by all means, go for it. And then intended expenses, blah, 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 blah. This is all for statistical stuff immigration uses, so it's not required. You don't have to fill this out. It doesn't matter. Once you get that done, hit the insure, put in your CAPA, hit preview. Once you do hit review submit, you're going to go to step 2. Step 2 is just going to be a pretty PDF form that is going to show the same information, non-editable, where you just review, make sure everything matches. The big key things you want to make sure matches is pretty much this top part. Make sure your name, email address are accurate, and then go down here to your passport. Make sure this is 100% on point. Do not cut and paste, manually type it, make sure it's okay. Once all that is okay, you're going to hit the next button again. Takes you to page 3. Page 3 is just pay with your Visa or MasterCard. You're good to go. Once you get paid, you're going to get emailed within a few minutes to this email saying, hey, your payment's been processed and approved, yada, yada, yada. Here's where the timeline comes in. So let's talk about this because I see a lot of people flipping out about this. I see people on YouTube crying about like, I applied 8 days ago and I still got a reply. I see stuff in my video and comment section about this. The process for them to pull your application is 3 to 5 business days. Once they pull it, it typically takes 2 to 3 days for them to approve it. Most applications, they approve within a few hours. It's not a big deal. So typically most people get a start to finish reply within 3 to 5 days. It's a pretty fast process. They don't have to pull your application out of file until the 5th business day. And then that, from the day they pull it, can take up to 3 business days to be approved. If you're expecting to get this on a Friday or Saturday, good luck. If you don't get it by the morning, you're probably not going to get it. And Saturday, they only work in the office for about 3.5 hours, so you might not even get it at all. So when you do apply for this, expect it to take, I would just say, a round number of 10 days. Don't apply for it on Monday, think you're going to get it on Friday. You might. Most people typically do. Like I would say like 90% of people get it done that fast. You don't need to arrive on the day of your approval. If your approval is like on the 1st of January 2025 and you show up on the 3rd, it's perfectly fine with your paperwork. Just show it to them, they'll stamp it. 2 things either happen. 1, they stamp you on the day that your paper says, or 2, they stamp you from that day forward and start your 90 days from that day. When you do get there though, you're going to want to print this form out. So you're going to get an email saying you're approved. You're going to print that out, have a digital copy, on your phone as well. When you leave Vietnam, they're going to want this form again when you exit. It's part of your exit stamp process. They verify this actual approved letter that you got to your passport. Once they see it matches, you're out to go. Again, the dates aren't going to matter too much on the paper. It's the actual Visa stamp itself that Vietnam stamps in your book. If that Visa stamp does not match the paper, that's not entirely a bad thing. Make sure you have this form on your phone at all times. I suggest having the printed one just in case, especially when you're on land borders, because you don't want to give them your phone and they walk off into the main office to do their research with your phone unlocked. You're giving them full access. So have the paper. If you're at the airport, they just want to see it on the phone real quick and they're good to go. And that's really it, man. So if you have any other questions, anything like that, let me know in the comments below. But this is the entire process to get an e-visa done in Vietnam for a tourist. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching. I will see you again.